My mother kicked me out at 16 and now demands I give her my properties. Mom chose her boyfriend Rufus over me when I was 16. He claimed I stole his Rolex, which was ridiculous since he'd pawned it weeks earlier for casino money. Rufus gave Mom an ultimatum that night. Either she goes, or I go. Mom didn't even hesitate. She packed my clothes in trash bags while I was at school and changed the locks. When I got home, my stuff was on the lawn getting soaked by sprinklers. I spent 3 weeks sleeping in a 24-hour laundromat. The owner eventually caught me, but instead of kicking me out, he offered me a job cleaning his other properties. That's how I met Mr. Thies, a 73-year-old man who was more powerful than I could have thought. His daughter had died at 17 in a car accident years earlier. When he found me scrubbing his toilets at 2 a.m. for grocery money, something in his eyes changed. Within a month, he moved me into one of his vacant luxury condos. Not some rundown unit, but a penthouse he usually rented for $5,000 a month. Mr. Thies brought me dinner every night, helped with homework, and taught me the property business. When other kids were learning to parallel park, I was learning to negotiate lease agreements and manage construction crews. He paid for my prom dress, my college tuition, even walked me down the aisle at my wedding. For 5 years, he was the father I never had. When he died of a heart attack, he left me everything. 47 rental properties worth $18 million. I was 21 and suddenly one of the largest property owners in the city. I tried reaching out to Mom once during those years. Invited her to my high school graduation. She never showed. Drove by the house one Christmas Eve and saw her through the window, laughing with Rufus. I knocked for 10 minutes. She looked right at me through the glass and closed the curtain. Mom's sister called me when I was 25, said Mom and Rufus were begging family members for money again, asking if I had anything to spare. They've hit up everyone, cousins, co-workers, even Rufus's ex-wife. I hung up and never asked about them again. Then yesterday, Mom showed up at my office. No call, no warning, just walked past my secretary with Rufus trailing behind. They looked terrible. Mom had aged 20 years in 12, and Rufus's gut hung over his belt like he'd drunk 2 cases of beer. They stood in my office doorway, and I knew immediately this wasn't about making amends. They were getting evicted at the end of the month and needed a place to live. Mom demanded I give them one of my properties her sister told her about, rent-free obviously, because children don't abandon their parents. The same woman who threw me out like trash was lecturing me about abandonment. She even wanted her name on several deeds for tax purposes. When I said I'd think about it, she appeared at my office building every morning with a sign saying, "My daughter owns 47 properties but lets me be homeless." Security dragged them out, but not before she yelled at the top of her lungs that I was mentally unstable and stole Mr. Thies's fortune. She even showed up at Mr. Thies's grave with flowers, telling mourners she was his real daughter. The woman who abandoned her child was trying to destroy the life I built without her. After 24 hours of harassment, I'd had enough. I called my lawyer and got the paperwork I'd hoped I'd never need. Then I asked my property manager, August, to drive with me to their apartment. I needed a witness for what was about to happen. The 3-hour drive gave me time to think about everything. Mr. Thies had told me, success is the best revenge, but sometimes you need to show people the consequences of their choices. We pulled up to a dingy apartment complex just as an eviction crew was arriving. The timing was perfect. Mom and Rufus were arguing with the landlord on the lawn, their possessions already being hauled out. That's when Mom saw me. Her face lit up like I was there to save them. "Thank God you're here," Mom said. "Tell them who you are." I walked closer and saw Rufus had the female eviction worker cornered by the truck. She was young, maybe 20, trying to do her job while he screamed in her face about lawsuits. Mom stood there doing nothing, just like she did nothing when I needed her. "Hey," I called out. Rufus turned, saw me, and his anger shifted to desperation. "You own buildings," he said. "Your mother told me. Help us." I pulled out the restraining order. "I do own properties, and you'll never set foot in any of them." Mom started wailing, falling to her knees in the muddy grass. Real or fake, I didn't care anymore. Rufus kicked a box, their dishes shattering across the concrete. The young worker scrambled away to safety. I handed Mom the restraining order while she grabbed at my legs, begging. "Rufus was right about you all along," she gasped. "You were always a selfish little thief." Rufus was threatening the landlord, saying he knew people. August and I walked back to the car, never saw them again.